For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Victoria Rose. How's it going today, Victoria?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. You know, I'm in the middle of Texas. It's kind of warm, kind of cold. The weather doesn't know what it wants to do with itself, but it's all good. I'm having a great day. So, I want to thank you so much for giving us the time to sit down and chat. I'm really excited to learn more about you and like all your music and everything you got going on. And just learn more about you. So before we kind of jump into everything, what got you into music? What's kind of your origin story into music?
So both of my parents played instruments when they were younger. And so that's kind of how I started. Like my mom wanted me to play piano when I was younger, but my mom always told me I was always singing since I was very little. I guess when I could start talking, I started singing. And so it's just something I always loved to do. And so once I started playing piano when I was 6, I just started participating in anything that involved music, like choirs and musicals and anything that I could do. And then once I got into middle school, I think is when I finally realized it's like what I wanted to do and like what I love. And so then I moved down here and then I started working with DME Orlando, and that's really it.
Awesome. And you're originally from Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes, I'm from a little town like a little bit south of Pittsburgh.
Okay, cool. And how long ago did you end up moving down to Florida?
I moved down about a year and a half ago.
Okay. How are you liking? Oh, you're in Orlando, right?
Yes.
How are you liking Orlando?
I like it a lot. It's a lot better. It's not snowing. It's not that cold. It's mostly on. I'm really good with this.
Yeah. Well, at least you didn't get to a point where you were having to drive in the snow up in like the Pennsylvania area, because
Yeah.
I know how bad it was when I was learning how to drive in Chicago in the snow. That was really bad. I can only imagine how bad it was up on the East Coast. So
Yeah.
luckily now you're down south and don't really, you might have to worry about it, but the chances are very, very, very slim.
Yeah.
So you're down in Orlando and you go back and forth to Nashville, correct? Or
I haven't been to Nashville yet. I
Okay.
work with some people in Nashville, but I'm hoping to get there in the summer.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, and I'm sure COVID probably doesn't make that any easier. That's so you got a new single dropping tomorrow, probably at midnight tonight, probably, right?
Yeah.
What's the name of this single, and what's kind of the story behind it?
So this one is called I Don't Miss You, and I wrote this one about an ex-friend that I had, and I started missing her, but we went down a lot of wrong paths, and I couldn't figure out why I was missing her, and I later then realized that I wasn't missing her as a person, but I was missing the memories that I had with her.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about, yeah.
Gotcha. And how long have you been working on this song?
So I think I wrote it about maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. And so I think we finished it about a month and a half ago, so a couple months.
Gotcha. So it's been a really quick turnaround for you then.
Yeah, this one was a quick song.
Hey, that's always good, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to wait. So this is your third single you've released.
Yes.
You released your debut single, was it last summer, right?
Yes, in August, yeah.
Um, what's kind of been going through your mind since the release of that single to now? Like, what's kind of been going through your mind?
It's been kind of crazy. I released that first single and it's like it's been still been doing pretty well, and like just from then on I've been getting a lot of opportunities and a lot of more people like engaging with me, and then it's kind of just been crazy. I didn't think I'd be releasing my third single at 16.
It's when it's right, you know.
Uh,
So wait, are you working towards like doing an album, or is kind of the plan just to do singles for now?
Right now we're just working on singles, but I know eventually I want to get an EP out once the
Okay.
time comes.
Gotcha. That's all, and like right now, especially with COVID and everything, kind of singles is where you need to be because like just getting it out on Spotify and all that stuff, just doing the singles route makes more sense,
Yeah.
especially if you can't get out and do shows, you know.
Yeah.
So, um, so the new single drops tomorrow. Yep. I don't know why I keep wanting to say tonight, but it's tomorrow. Um, what's did you or how much did COVID kind of screw up the release plan for it, or was it always kind of
This one was kind of planned around COVID
okay?
because I released my other two when it was like I think worse with COVID, and it kind of got screwed up a little bit, but then we were now prepared for this one.
Mm,
And so it didn't really get like backtracked or anything. This was like pretty much we had it planned.
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I get yeah, that makes sense because if you wrote it like a month or like the end of last year,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. Um, Are you planning on doing any like a music video for it or anything? Because I noticed on your YouTube channel you had a music video for I think it's your debut single, correct?
Yes. Yeah, we did one for that song, and then we're releasing one for my second single, Yours. But for this song, we haven't decided yet if we're doing a music video.
Gotcha. Um, and then okay, so let's talk about yours then for a minute, since you're getting ready to release a music video for that one. Um, do you have a release date for it at all, or
We don't have a set release date yet, but we're hoping to release it around Valentine's Day since Yours is like a love song.
nice? That's and so how much how much creative input did you have on the music video, or
I had a lot of input in it. Thankfully, I worked with my manager and then the cinematographer, and he came up with like a lot of scenes, and I gave my input, and then we kind of just like narrowed it down to what scenes we thought would look really nice in it.
okay? And how long have you been working on it?
So we did 2 days of filming, and that was pretty much all I had to do. And so now it's in my cinematographer's hands.
Yeah,
But he sends me a lot of like clips and like has me put my pin on it. Like I want these ones or all that kind of stuff. So we've been
gotcha.
working on it for a while.
Nice. And so you're looking at Valentine's Day for that release, and
Yeah.
is that kind of do you hope to keep doing like the music videos, or is it
Yeah, I have a lot of fun doing the music videos.
okay,
They're a lot of work, but in the end they always look really nice.
yeah? Usually music videos are a lot of work, but like especially right now since you're doing um during the pandemic, music videos are everything.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, so as you have been gearing towards the release of your new single, uh, "I Don't Miss You," that's the name I was looking for. I was what's kind of going through your head now that you're about like 4 hours or so from it releasing? Like, do
It
you usually get nervous before a single releases, or is it still all new to you? You don't know what to expect.
it's a little bit of both. I'm a little nervous because this one is like about a very personal experience, and my other two songs what weren't really about like my own personal experiences, like people I like what I've seen people go through. So since this one's very personal to me, I'm a little nervous, but I'm also like I don't know what to think. So I'm excited that it's getting out there. But again, it's like a little bit of both.
Yeah. Is it one of those things that you're worried that the person might know who you're talking about, or is that not even really crossed your mind?
It's crossed my mind a little bit, but it hasn't really worried me that much. Is
Yeah.
that I'm not a very like emotional person, so to really put my emotions out there is a little nerve wracking to me.
Gotcha. I mean, as long as you're being authentic to yourself, like you really don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
Um, new single dropping tomorrow. Um, and what's your creative process when you sit down to like write music? What's kind of your process?
So it all kind of depends. I mean, I try not to force songs out of myself. I did that before and they were not good. And so I kind of just whenever I get the inspiration, usually what I do is I'll start writing lyrics and the melody in my head. And then once I feel like, oh wait, this might actually turn into something, I'll go sit down, whether it's at my like with my piano or with my guitar, and I'll just start writing. And I usually know it's a good song if I write it in a short amount of time. I don't know why, but like songs that I write in like 20 minutes, are, like the best ones. So I'll like go through the whole thing, and then for about a week, I'll keep coming back to it and like
Hmm.
fixing things. And then I'll send it over to my manager and my producer, and then they'll help me out with it, and then we'll start working on it.
Gotcha. Are you usually at the piano when you're working on music, or do you usually strum on a guitar, or what do you kind of do to work it out?
Um, so it kind of depends on like what kind of song. Like usually if I'm writing like a slower, like sadder song, usually on the piano. But then like I recently wrote one that was originally on the piano, and like, oh, well, like what would this sound like if I put it on the guitar? And so I put it on the guitar, and it sounded so much better. So it kind of depends on what the feel of the song is, of what instruments I go to.
Gotcha. And what other? So do you play the piano and guitar? Do you play any other instruments?
I also play the ukulele.
Awesome. Um, so outside of music, what are some of your hobbies? What do you do outside of music?
Honestly, not that much.
No.
Music is kind of my life. I mean, I love hanging out with like my friends and like just like going for drives and listening to music, but like music's like really it.
Okay.
I mean, I read sometimes,
Okay.
not
I was gonna
really.
ask if you go to Disney World a lot, but you really haven't been in Orlando long enough because of the pandemic to actually go.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I've been to Disney World a couple times, but like my dad gets very nervous about COVID, so we've only like we're only if we do go, we're only allowed to go during the weekday in the middle of the day,
oh
and
well,
that's yeah.
gotcha. Well, I I'm kind of surprised that they're actually open during COVID because the last I heard that they weren't open, but I don't know. Like I don't live in Florida anymore, so I
Yeah,
don't know.
I was surprised they opened, but they're like doing like limited capacity and everything. There's a lot of things not even open, so sometimes like it's not even worth going.
Yeah. Like I mean maybe to their little downtown Disney Springs or whatever it's
Yeah.
called, like the shopping center, but other than that, it's probably not worth it.
Yeah.
So, so who are some of your musical influences?
Definitely Dolly Parton is definitely like my number one. Carrie Underwood, Zach Brown Band. Um, oh, Christina Aguilera is one of my bigger ones also. Those are like my main four.
Gotcha. What is it about? Because Dolly Parton seems to be a pretty common one in country music for female country artists. But
Mhm.
what is it about like Zach Brown Band or Christina Aguilera that kind of speak to you?
I love Christina Aguilera because of how big her vocals are, and just like I just love her voice in general. And then with Zach Brown Band, my dad loves Zach Brown Band, so I've been listening to it since I was very little, and so it's kind of just like an artist that I've grown up with, and so I always listen to them and all of their songs.
Gotcha. Gotcha. What are some who are some artists that you listen to that people wouldn't suspect that you like listening to?
Oh, there's probably a good amount of those. I listen to like a lot of like older people. So like, oh, who was I thinking of? Oh, I love like Paul Anka. He's one of my favorites. I don't even know why. Billy Joel, well, he's amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love him. Um, oh, Journey is like people don't expect me to listen to them, and I was like, they're so good. I don't know why.
I I like Journey because like so they became I'm being from Chicago, I'm a Chicago White Sox fan, so they became very relevant to me in 2005 and I started listening to them and I started finding out more about their story and like how now they did that whole thing where they found a when their original lead singer um passed away, I think it was. They found the kid from Malaysia or whatever that came in and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and watching that whole thing unfold, that was really cool. So that's kind of what really made me stick around as a Journey fan after 2005. So but so new single dropping tomorrow. What's kind of your plans moving forward for 2021 after after your new single drops?
Well, we're gonna be releasing. We already have a whole bunch of more singles planned, and just I'm just kind of keep writing and getting more songs out there, and hopefully COVID slows down and I can get back to performing because I want to perform so bad.
Yeah. Since you just started releasing music during the during the pandemic, because your first single was back in August,
Mhm.
how often were you getting out to do shows before the pandemic?
Not a lot because really when I moved down here, I took like a complete turn because when I first moved down here, it was in like my freshman year and I was like consumed with school and I was in my school's like music conservatory program.
Mhm.
And then basically once the pandemic hit, I started working with DME Orlando and that's when like the whole music career started picking up and actually me starting my music career. So really before COVID, it was like basically school shows and that's really all I did.
Okay. So you really haven't gotten a chance to get out and perform all that much?
Not really. I mean, I've done a couple small shows, thankfully, but that's really been it
Yeah. Um, Down in Orlando, you've done the small shows, or are you talking more up in Pennsylvania?
in Orlando.
Okay. Yeah, Orlando's interesting because you'd think that they'd always have more shows going on because of all the like tourism draw that they had. But when I lived there for about 6 months while I was doing an internship, and it just didn't seem like, unless you knew where all the like local clubs were, there
Yeah.
really wasn't much going on.
Yeah,
So
that's what I've noticed since I've been down here.
yeah, you got to know where the local places are.
Yeah.
Um, have you noticed since because you're 16, correct?
Yes.
Have you noticed, is it harder for you to find places to play being so young, or
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, because a lot of places that do like live acts have bars and they're
yeah.
like, technically we can't have you because you're not 21. It's like, okay. So yeah, it's been a little harder.
So you mean they don't do what oh, over the weekend I was recording an interview with a musician who was in a rock band, and he was 17 when they joined, and he was telling us stories, or he's like 22 now, but he was 17 when he first joined the band, and he was telling us stories about how to get into some of these gigs at bars, basically the band would go in, set everything up, and then they'd knock on the back door, let him in, and he'd walk straight to the stage, perform, and then leave because the bar was so worried about them getting shut down because he was only 17. And I was like, I mean, do what you got to do, right? So,
Yeah.
and he's like, the funniest thing is when you'd see like the bar manager over there and somebody tries to hand him a beer because they think he's like 21 because he's with the band. And it's like, nope, nope, nope. You'd see the bar manager just kind of like would do one of those things.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, where's uh where's one place that you really want to visit and play? Is what's like a pipe dream for you?
I really just want to go to Nashville because I've never been able. We've made like we were actually supposed to go up last summer and then COVID happened and that hasn't happened. I really just want to go up there and just experience Nashville.
So you've never been to Nashville?
No.
Nashville's cool. Um, it's I don't know how it's changed since I haven't been there since last January, and obviously there's been a lot of things that have happened
Yeah.
that have kind of changed Nashville over the last year. So I don't know how it's changed in the last year, but when I was there, it was really cool. We got to go to like the Grand Ole Opry, and we went to like the downtown part. It's very expensive to park downtown. Just putting that one out there. So, but it's a cool place. It's got a lot going on. Um, what do you think it is about Nashville that you draws you?
I think maybe because how it's like very just like authentic and like I've heard stories like you're really just like when you're walking down, I don't remember exactly what street it was, but it was some certain street and you can just hear all the different music of
Yep.
people playing from all the different restaurants and the bars and everything. And I just feel like that just
Probably
be
Broadway.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that's what it was. I couldn't
Yep.
remember.
No, that is very true. Like like just parking. That's where I was talking about downtown Broadway. I was trying to think of it as I was saying that. There's just so many venues that you could literally walk down the street and just hear some of the most amazing acts ever. And the one thing about Nashville that I've come to learn and really respect is kind of once you find your creative community, it's like a family. It's a second family for you. So
Yeah.
it's which is really cool. I'm sure you don't get that in a lot of other cities.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
So outside of Nashville, is there any other places?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like maybe if I've had like more experience and like maybe known more people like with the whole performing thing, maybe, but right now it's mainly just Nashville.
Gotcha. Well, what's the since you haven't really gotten out there to do that many shows, what's one thing you've been or what's one thing that you're worried about getting out there to do shows?
Um, I'm worried about so I don't seem to get stage fright,
Okay.
but what happens is that when I get on stage, like I'm not gonna like freeze up or anything, but I kind of just like I don't know what the word is for it, but I'm not very open.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm a little nervous about like not feeding off like the audience's energy and kind of just like not putting on a great show. And
Gotcha.
that's like one thing I've struggled with.
So you're worried about like closing yourself off to the
Yeah.
audience pretty much?
Yeah, because I mean, even like with the small shows I've done, like I've worked with my team and everything, and like we've practiced so much because they know like I'm not gonna like I'm still gonna sing and I'm not gonna freeze up,
Yeah.
but I need to put on like I need to actually like put on the show better.
Gotcha. So you'll just kind of do the performance, but you won't be present in the moment, I guess. Is
Yeah. So
that
I
fair to
think
say?
yeah, I think I definitely get a little nervous and I kind of don't really know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely some stuff I need to work on with that.
Gotcha. Have you been experimenting with like the virtual shows or anything or
I've done two like virtual festivals in the
okay.
middle of COVID, but it was a little different because they were both or one was on like an Instagram live and one was already recorded. So I also feel like it really like wasn't like the same.
Yeah. It's I mean the Instagram live one it all right. So because we're in the middle of a pandemic, I feel like a lot of things were just like okay, we'll deal with it.
Hmm.
My issue with a lot of the virtual shows is the audio is usually not good. Like
Yeah.
like especially if you're trying to do like a duet or like usually a solo acoustic act is all right,
Hmm.
but if it's like you and somebody else, you're battling each other for who you can hear. It's all interesting because the platforms.
Yeah, and I tend to have a loud voice, so I noticed like my parents tell me after they watched the Instagram live that like this like the sound once I got loud, just went straight downhill.
Yeah,
Like there's
yeah.
nothing I could do about it.
I get it. Well, that's kind of why um you got to have like your own interface set up so you can kind of control all that stuff.
Yeah.
Not saying that the internet's not going to come in and like, nope, we got to EQ all this out, But so you started doing a lot of your recording in Orlando. What's that experience been like for you, getting into the studio and recording your own music?
It was a little nerve-wracking at first because I'm a very shy person at first. So, like I felt like if I messed up, it was like the end of the world.
Mhm.
But then like after I got used to it, it's honestly like a really fun process
Yeah,
because I'll sit down with my team, like we'll figure out all the melodies and everything, and just like being in the studio and recording is just like one of my favorite things to do now.
nice. And what are you starting to pick up some of like the terminology? What have you learned about yourself? I guess that's the better question is what have you learned about yourself as a musician going through this recording process?
Um, that's a good question. I honestly haven't thought about that. I don't really know. I mean, there's probably lots of I've learned, but like what seems to happen is like I can never think of stuff off the top of my head. But then
Mhm.
like once I'm like in the moment, like I'll know stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, I started picking up some terminology, but then like my producer Mike, he moves very fast, and so sometimes I get a little lost. Um, but I think I learned to be patient with myself
Okay.
because I'm not a very patient person, but like I kind of am like, okay, just like take a deep breath. And like if you mess up, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I got you. And you've really got to take the moment and just enjoy it for what it is. Like
Yeah.
that's another thing that a lot of younger musicians that are just kind of in that are just starting out, they don't take a moment to appreciate and just kind of like, wow, I'm really doing this right now, you know.
Yeah.
So, um where are you kind of at creatively right now? I know you said you've got a bunch of music in the pipeline, but are you currently writing, or are you just strictly producing, or are you like always writing?
I'm usually always writing. Anything that comes to me anytime, even if it's like not good, I'll just go sit down and write it. And like maybe it might turn into something. So
Mhm.
like even like this week, I've like written two full songs.
Nice.
And yeah, we already started working on those. So yeah, I'm always writing.
How often do like so when you get to the point where you've written a full song, how often does it actually turn into something? Or
I think like 90% of the time it turns into something.
okay.
I mean, there have been some songs that like we've kind of like put on the back burner because like they're not great. But then like I've written like a lot. Like I think I've maybe written like five or no, that's not the right number. I think I've written like nine songs maybe, and then I think like basically seven out of nine of those have like we've all been were either released or now working on.
Gotcha. That's cool. And then is so right now you mainly do like you're a solo act, but is the hope to kind of form a band one day, or do you kind of like doing the solo stuff?
I could see it going either way. I mean, right now I'm kind of enjoying the solo stuff, but I think if the opportunity would come to maybe me be part of a band, I would definitely maybe take the opportunity.
I mean, right now being so young, being a solo act just gives you more freedom to go out and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So awesome, awesome. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I want to because I realize that you're an hour later than I am, so I could sit here and chat with you all night. But um, so what's the do you have any more virtual shows on the planned, or what do you kind of have in the near future?
No virtual shows right now. I've kind of taken a little bit of a break from doing some shows, and basically, like I said, we're just kind of just writing and working on me as an artist and just releasing songs. That's really it.
Gotcha. And going to school, right?
Yeah.
How do
Unfortunately,
you
yes.
how do you kind of balance like since how do you kind of balance school and music?
Fortunately enough, my teachers work with me, so if there's a chance I have to miss a class, and like I'm online right now, I'm fully a fully online student. So if I need to miss a live class, they'll work with me on it, and I'll make up all the work. But sometimes it definitely gets stressful because there's always that one week where I have a whole bunch of stuff to work on with music, and then I'll have like five tests, and then I definitely hit my breaking point. But for the most part, it's been pretty good to handle.
Awesome. You know, it's that's where you find out what you really enjoy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, do you really enjoy making music? Okay. Let's figure out a way to make it work. So
Yeah.
I I can definitely attest to that. I've had a few of those myself last year or so doing the podcast on a more daily basis where it's like work. I got to work 14 hours, but I got to try and squeeze this podcast in somewhere. So I totally agree, and I totally get where you're coming from. Um, so if somebody wants to follow you online or give a listen to your new single, where's the best place for them to do that?
So I'll be posting my single on all of my social media platforms, which is Victoria Rose Music, and then you can find me on every streaming platform, and my name is Victoria Rose on all of those.
Awesome, awesome. Well, once again, I want to thank you so much for jumping on the podcast.
Thank you
Before
for
we
asking
leave, though, I want to ask you the most polarizing question I could possibly ask you.
me. Okay.
Pineapple pizza, yes or no?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I've
Perfect.
I've never had it, but
Okay.
I'm just gonna say no.
Okay. I got you. Fair enough. Fair enough. But once again, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. I really appreciate it. It's been an
Having me.
absolute blast talking with you. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you guys later.
Thank you.
All right, we're good.
Thank you so much
Uh,
for having me again.
yeah, absolutely. So the video's up now on Facebook.
Okay.
I'll release the audio on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff tomorrow.
Okay.
And then, other than that, did you have any questions about anything?
No, I'm all good.
All right, perfect. And then, whenever you have a new single ready to drop, or you want to come back on, just feel free to reach out. Love to have you back on.
Okay, will do.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Yep, absolutely. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, bye.